All right, so nuclear medicine in Kenya. It's a hot topic, especially with Nuclear Medicine Week right around the corner. And we're going to dive deep into what makes this field so fascinating, not just globally, but specifically in Kenya's healthcare.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I got to say, the term nuclear can sound a little intimidating, right?
Yeah.
Makes you think of, well, not exactly everyday things, but we're really talking about cutting-edge medicine here.
Yeah.
Stuff that has the power to change so many lives.
Exactly. And that nuclear part, it's really about, harnessing the power of these tiny, safe amounts of radioactive material.
Okay.
Think of it this way. Imagine being able to pinpoint the exact location of a problem in your body. Like we're talking down to the cellular level.
Okay, now that has me intrigued. I got to ask, how does that even work?
So it all starts with these things called radiopharmaceuticals.
Okay.
They're like little trackers, right?
Yeah.
And they're attracted to specific cells in the body. Once they're injected, they release a teeny tiny amount of radiation, acting like a signal, allowing doctors to see what's up, what's going on inside.
So it's almost like giving doctors this superpower to see things that would usually be invisible, right?
Precisely. Like one of the best examples of this is something called myocardial perfusion imaging. It's used to diagnose heart problems. So by injecting a radiopharmaceutical that's drawn to heart muscle, doctors can actually visualize how well blood is flowing to different parts of the heart.
Wow. So instead of just seeing a static image of the heart, you're seeing it in action. It's like a live feed almost.
Exactly. And that makes a world of difference. Dimly lit areas, they can indicate blockages.
Oh, wow.
Helping doctors diagnose heart disease early on when treatment is most effective.
That's incredible. I have to ask, though, and I bet this is on a lot of people's minds listening, what about the radiation exposure? I mean, with these radiopharmaceuticals?
Yeah, it's a valid concern for sure. And safety is, absolutely paramount. But the important thing to remember is the amount of radiation used in these procedures, it's really incredibly small, often comparable to a standard X-ray.
So it's like the old saying, the benefits outweigh the risks.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're talking about, potentially life-saving diagnoses here. And the safety protocols, they're incredibly strict. Highly trained professionals are involved every step of the way, making sure that these materials are handled and administered safely.
Well, that's reassuring to know for sure. But I want to move beyond just diagnosis. Nuclear medicine, it plays a huge role in treatment too, right? It's not just about seeing what's wrong. It's about actually doing something about it.
Absolutely. And this is where things get really, really fascinating. I mean, we're almost bordering on science fiction here. There's this whole area called theranostics, which essentially combines therapy and diagnostics.
Okay.
So we're talking about using the same material to both diagnose and treat a condition.
Wait, so the same material is doing double duty. How does that even work? Can you give me an example?
Sure. Think about radioactive iodine. It's been used for decades to both diagnose and treat thyroid cancer. It naturally targets the thyroid gland, making it easy to see on scans. And because it's radioactive, it can selectively destroy those cancerous cells within the thyroid without harming the surrounding tissue.
So it's like a guided missile, almost zeroing in on the problem with incredible precision.
Yes.
It's no wonder that this is considered the cutting edge of medicine.
Precisely. It's about delivering treatment exactly where it's needed, minimizing side effects, and maximizing the impact.
This is incredible stuff, really. It's like something straight out of Star Trek, but it's happening right now in the real world.
It's really remarkable, yeah. And what's even more exciting, seeing how these technologies are becoming more accessible, particularly for countries like Kenya that are, really embracing nuclear medicine.
Yeah. And this is where our deep dive, I think, gets really interesting. Because we're not just talking about this cutting-edge science. We're talking about the power of this technology to completely transform healthcare.
Oh, absolutely.
On a global scale.
For a long time, these kinds of advanced treatments were only available in, wealthier nations.
Yeah.
But Kenya is showing that it's possible to not just adopt these technologies, but to really excel in using them.
Yeah, it's like they're flipping the script and saying, hey, we're not content with just catching up. We're aiming to lead the way.
Exactly. And they're already making some serious progress. I mean, for example, the number of hospitals in Kenya that offer nuclear medicine services, it's tripled in the past decade.
Wow.
That means more people are getting the diagnoses and treatments they need right there in their own communities.
That's incredible. So they're not just importing the technology. They're building a sustainable infrastructure for the future.
Exactly.
What are some of these specific areas where Kenya is really making waves?
Well, one that really stands out is oncology. They're using nuclear medicine to diagnose and treat cancers with more precision than ever before. One really powerful example is using radiopharmaceuticals to deliver that radiation therapy right to the tumor cells.
So instead of, like with traditional chemotherapy, flooding the whole body with radiation, it's a much more focused approach.
Precisely. And that means fewer side effects for the patient, right? And potentially even better outcomes.
That's amazing. Are there any other areas where you're seeing Kenya make strides?
Yeah, another area worth highlighting is their work in nuclear cardiology.
Okay.
They're using techniques like that myocardial profusion imaging we talked about earlier, to diagnose heart disease in the earliest possible stages.
Right.
And early diagnosis means early intervention, which of course can be life-saving.
Absolutely. Sounds like Kenya is really committed to making these life-saving technologies available to everybody.
Absolutely. And it's not even just about the technology itself. They're investing heavily in training that next generation of healthcare professionals. They're partnering up with these international organizations like the IAA.
Right, I was going to say.
To provide doctors, nurses, technicians, everybody with, world-class training in nuclear medicine.
Which is so important because you can have all the technology in the world, but if you don't have people who know how to use it to read the results, it's almost useless.
Exactly. That's why their emphasis on this training is so commendable.
Yeah.
They're creating this sustainable system where their own local experts are ready and equipped to handle even the most complex medical challenges.
So it's like they're building this whole ecosystem, right?
Yes.
Around nuclear medicine.
Yeah.
From the technology itself to the highly trained people who can use it effectively.
Exactly. And this ecosystem is already producing some remarkable results. It's really improving the lives of so many Kenyans.
It's really an inspiring story. But I'm curious, what are some of the challenges they've faced? Because I imagine it can't all be smooth sailing when you're developing a program like this.
Yeah.
I mean, building something this impactful, there are going to be some hurdles along the way, right?
Oh, of course. There are always challenges, when you're trying to be a pioneer, especially in medicine.
Right.
One of the biggest hurdles is infrastructure.
You mean like having enough hospitals that are equipped to be able to handle this kind of medicine?
Exactly. Building that infrastructure. And not just in the big cities, but making sure it reaches those rural areas. That requires a lot of investment.
Yeah.
And then there's the awareness piece, too.
Right, because even if you build it, they might not come.
Right.
If they don't know what it is or why it matters.
Exactly. There's still a lot of work to do in terms of educating the public, but also, healthcare providers who aren't familiar with nuclear medicine about all the benefits, and really addressing, I think, some of the misconceptions that are still out there.
It's about building trust, right? And showing with real stories the impact of these treatments.
Yeah, seeing is believing. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And that's why those patient success stories are so important.
For sure.
But all that being said, the progress that Kenya has made in a pretty short time, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it really speaks to their commitment to, making healthcare better and improving people's lives.
Yeah, and it's a model, I think, for other countries who are, maybe thinking about embracing nuclear medicine.
Absolutely. So as we kind of look to the future, what's next for nuclear medicine, both in Kenya but also globally? Where do we go from here?
Well, that's the really exciting part, right? I mean, this field is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
One area that I think holds immense promise is the development of even more targeted radiopharmaceuticals.
So even more precise than what we have now.
Exactly. Imagine radiopharmaceuticals that can target cancer cells, but not just based on their location, but their specific molecular makeup.
Wow.
I mean, this could completely revolutionize how we treat cancer.
Wow. Talk about personalized medicine, huh?
It's the holy grail, really, and we're getting closer every day.
That's amazing.
Another